There has always been a shadow following humanity. It whispers in the silence, moves in the unseen, lingers at the edges of thought. That shadow is called fear. Fear is not a thing of its own. It is the absence of light, the echo of forgetting, the child of illusion. It has worn many faces: fear of death, fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But in truth, fear is one: the fear of forgetting who you are. For when the soul falls asleep and mistakes itself for flesh, for story, for time, fear is born. But when the soul awakens, fear dies, and in its death, the radiance of eternity is remembered. The nature of fear. Fear feeds on the fragile image of self. It thrives where identity is built on impermanence. The body ages, so fear whispers of decay. The mind shifts, so fear invents uncertainty. Relationships change, so fear threatens loss. But fear is not truth. It is projection, a mirage, a veil that blinds the eternal vision. Fear survives only when the soul mistakes itself for what is passing, rather than what is infinite. To see fear is to see illusion. To witness fear is already to weaken it, for no shadow survives the gaze of the sun. The first death, fear of death itself. All fears rest upon one root, the fear of death. The fear that the flame of life will be extinguished into nothing, yet awakening reveals nothing dies. Form changes, shapes dissolve, bodies return to dust, but essence remains. Consciousness cannot perish, for it is not born. The death of fear begins with the realization that what you are is beyond the grave. And so, when death itself is unmasked as transformation, all lesser fears lose their grip. Fear of failure, of rejection, of loss, all are revealed as shadows of the same illusion. And when the root dissolves, so too does the tree of fear fall. The fear of the unknown. The future unformed, the path unwritten, the silence beyond thought. The mind clings to certainty, craving maps and guarantees. But awakening reveals the unknown is not enemy. It is womb. It is the fertile soil of possibility, the canvas of creation, the open sky of becoming. To embrace the unknown is to trust the eternal rhythm. It is to walk not with the light of certainty, but with the fire of faith. Here, fear dies again, not in answers, but in surrender. Fear of loss. Fear binds the heart through attachment. We cling to what is fragile, forgetting that nothing in form can be held. People, possessions, identities, all flow through the river of time. But awakening shows nothing real can be lost. Love is not held by hands, but by essence. Connection is not destroyed by distance or death, for it lives in the eternal field of consciousness. The fruit of awakening is the death of this fear. For when one knows that essence cannot be diminished, the heart opens, not clings. Love becomes pure, without chains, without desperation, without fear. Fear of the self. Perhaps the most hidden fear is the fear of one's own power, the fear of greatness, of vastness, of the infinite light within. For the ego trembles before the truth that it is not the ruler, but the shadow of something boundless. To awaken is to meet this truth, to look into the mirror of infinity and not turn away. Yes, there is responsibility in remembering your power. Yes, there is vastness in embracing your eternity. But when this fear dies, sovereignty is born. The death of fear is the birth of true selfhood. Fear as teacher. Before fear dies, it teaches. It points the soul to what has been forgotten. Fear of death calls one to eternal life. Fear of loss calls one to recognize essence. Fear of the unknown calls one to surrender. Fear of the self calls one to awakening. Fear, then, is not enemy but messenger. Its voice is harsh, its presence heavy, yet within it lies the invitation to remembrance. The death of fear does not come by fighting, but by listening, by seeing, by awakening. The silence after fear. What remains when fear dies? Stillness, freedom. Fearlessness is not recklessness, not arrogance, not denial. It is the quiet certainty that life is eternal, that the soul is infinite, that the path is guided. The death of fear births serenity in the storm, courage in the unknown, and love without chains. It opens the gates to creation, to manifestation, to alignment with divine law. When fear dies, the soul remembers its wings. Living beyond fear. The awakened life is not the absence of challenge, but the absence of bondage. Storms may come, losses may arrive, mysteries may unfold, yet fear does not return. The awakened one meets life with open hands, not clinging, meets death with open eyes, not trembling, meets others with open heart, not guarded. The death of fear is not escape, but full presence, for only when fear dies does one truly live. Fear was always a shadow, it lived only by the light it tried to obscure. And when the light of awakening shines, the shadow dissolves into nothing. The death of fear is not the end of life, it is the beginning of life as it truly is. Radiant, infinite, unbound. Here the soul stands fearless, here the eternal flame burns without shadow. Here, the death of fear becomes the birth of eternity remembered.